Hello, I am William Jamal Wright,
And I'm Hattie.
and this is our podcast, HattieJo. What are we doing?
So what are we doing?
Yeah, so we've been a little bit, but we have some things coming in store for you guys. But this episode is just a little bit of a life update and also kind of recapping our basketball season and how that went. So I think we'll start with the basketball season and kind of go from there. And so we were, I coach basketball at North Valley Christian Academy. This is my third season being there, so that was kind of basically everybody in the program. I had been around for a couple of years and kind of gotten to know them, and we kind of had grown together. And so it was kind of a different little bit. It was a little bit of a different year, especially compared to last year. But it was kind of very familiar in that we had Coach Grant who took a year off to be with his family. We had him back. We had some guys that last year were in different roles that came back this year and had a really good season. And so it was a lot of fun. We got to play at the Phoenix Suns Arena, which was really always nice and kind of a cool experience. You don't really
play in a professional stadium as a high schooler,
yeah, and just as kind of a fan of the sport, there's not too many opportunities where you get to play in a Cameron, which I got to do when I worked in Duke Athletics, or you get to play in the Phoenix Suns Arena, and so those kind of big time, or I don't even know if it's a big it was kind of a big time game, and just those opportunities just create some really cool and neat memories.
Yeah.
And so we'll kind of start back last summer. We kind of went into the year knowing that we were going to have Bobby was going to be kind of our big time senior. He had been playing varsity for the last 4 years, and he was gonna be our kind of headline player for the year. And I think that kind of better itself out as over the course of the season. Everybody knew who he was. And I have to say that he was probably the number one. He was the number one person on the other team's game plan of who they wanted to stop when you're playing us. And so we started kind of last summer, but we added some new pieces. We had Braden Collins, who is a senior. He's been at the school, and Braden's kind of the All-American, or he's kind of just the All-American kid. His mom is the athletic director. He's planning to go on and do flight school. He's never in trouble. He's he's always supporting other athletes. He's just a really good kid, a good person, and a good kid. And so it was, we had him come, and he was a really athletic kid. He can jump out the gym. You can throw him alley-oops and stuff, and he's got a good jump shot. And so it was really cool to kind of add him to the team this year, after he
wasn't he hurt last year?
Or he had planned to play last year, but then he got to the he did the summer with us, and then he decided not to, and then just decided this year, being a senior year, he wanted to try to give it a go. And so it was great to have him. And then we also added another player in John, who's a sophomore. And John transferred to a different school. He was at MVCA for his 8th grade year. He went to a different school his freshman year, and then he came back for his sophomore year. So it was good to have him back. It was my first time coaching him at the high school level, so it was kind of neat to interact with him. But it was kind of the Arizona High School Association. They they have like transfer rules because you can pretty much go to any school you want to go to in Arizona. And so they do have transfer rules for sports where like unless you get like a waiver, the first time you transfer you have to sit out like 10 games. And so the first 10 games of the year, no, it's first 12 games. First 12 games of the year, he sat out. And so he was able to basically be with us the last half of the year. And so we added those kind of new pieces, and then we had some guys coming back with Zathan, Levi Corrigan, Drew, and Noah Tabak. Like, we had some of those guys coming back. And so we felt really good coming into the season and then into last summer.
Well, and so correct me if I'm wrong, but the first 2 seasons that you were working with this team, they were classified as 1A.
Yes.
Very, very successful 1A program historically, but also particularly those 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then this season was the first year they were moved up to 2A.
Yes.
Correct? So that was also a big change, I think, for the program, facing different opponents and at a different level. And
yes, it was very much like, it's very much a situation where you kind of like, you're going up to a higher classification, so there's more students at each school, and so there's just, whenever there's more students there's more people to choose from,
right,
and
a larger pool of potential athletes to
yes, and so those athletes are going to be a little bit better. There's going to be more depth in terms of 1 through 9, like the talent pool is going to be a lot higher.
Right. And it's not like NBCA suddenly expanded its size.
Yeah,
it stayed the same size.
Yeah, and then like I will say the school is getting bigger, but like the school size didn't like.
Yeah, I mean, even increasing the students by 50 wouldn't like bump it up into the next class size of school. Yeah. So.
And so that was a neat challenge that we actually, as a coaching staff, I know me personally, we were looking forward to it, because there were some games where like in the 1A where you didn't necessarily have to play your best in order to win, and I feel like there were some games like that in like the 2A, when I think that's just inevitable to happen at the high school level, because talent can be kind of dispersed a little bit,
right?
Or talent can not be as dispersed, but overall it's just a lot more competitive, and you see kind of teams like, maybe you may blow somebody, maybe you may win a game by 15, but for like 3.5 quarters it was a really close game, and then you caught a couple of breaks there at the end, or vice versa, right? And so it was much more competitive season, playing at 2A. We definitely, like, this was, out of the 3 years I've been there, this was the first year we had a couple of games where we just got shellacked.
What's the term, mollywopped?
Yeah, mollywopped.
Mollywopped.
Yeah, where we just got like the floor, we just got dusted. And so there was one game in December.
Which is probably a pretty new experience for.
Yeah, it's definitely new for like our kids. And like, I'm pretty sure they've like, over the course of their basketball career, they've had some games like that. But just at NVCA, it just, it didn't happen in the first 2 years. It never happened.
Right.
And this year there were just, there were 3 games where we lost by more than like 30 points.
Oh my goodness.
And like 2 of them were before Christmas, or around the Christmas time. And then we lost to Valley Christian in the playoffs. And they ended up winning the Open, so they were the best team in 1A through 3A.
Which is a pretty big deal, especially if they were a 2A team.
So Valley Christian was a 3A team.
Oh, they were a 3A team.
But they were 4 times in a row state champion, and the coach has won like 10 state championships.
Oh my goodness.
So they're definitely kind of like the cream of the crop in 1A through 3A.
But and sorry, I thought they were 3A, but I said 2A. But I mean, it's a for you to be playing a 3A team, you're essentially playing up
Yes.
almost two
Yeah.
levels relative to last year if you were at
Yes.
1A last
Yes.
year, right? So it's not surprising that there were some new challenges this year
Yes.
and everything. But I think that your team still had a really successful season.
Oh, we definitely
despite
had
all
a
of
really
that,
successful season.
Which is something I think that's super amazing.
Yeah, we were able to. We were able to win our region, and then we had Coach Walker was Region Coach of the Year.
Oh, I didn't know that. Good
so
job
it was
for Coach
really
Walker.
really cool kind of experience. He was Region Coach of the Year. We had a couple of guys that were. They call it all conference here, but it's really all state, like 2A all state, honorable mention, and Bobby was second team 2A.
Nice.
And so that was really cool to have. And we had some all conference or all region like recognitions in terms of offensive player of the year. Bobby was offensive player of the year. Levi was defensive player of the year.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was really it was a good year for us. And it's interesting thinking about coming into the year. People's like, well, how do you feel about moving up to 2A? And I was like, you know what? I think we'll have a pretty good season. I think that we can get to the Final Four, and then once we get to the Final Four, it'll kind of be anybody's kind of ball game. And that was kind of my expectations. There were times when we played in 1A, I was like, I honestly felt like we should win. If we play close to our potential, we should win the championship or be right there at it.
And I feel like that was the
case, yeah.
2 for 2 of the years that you were involved in the program.
Yeah. And so I felt like moving up to 2A, even if we play to our potential, there could be nights where we still lost.
Right.
And so I thought that we had a really good chance to make it to the Final Four coming into the season, and then we could play it from there and see what kind of happened. But we came up. So Arizona 1A through 3A has the Copper division, which is
that's the
top. Yeah, that's the Open Championship, Copper Open Championship. So any team that is 1A through 3A, the top 16 goes on. If you lose in the first 2 rounds, aka you don't make it to the Final Four of the top, then you go back to your conference.
In conference being 1A.
Yeah,
2A,
1A, 2A, 3A. And so we lost in the second round to Valley in the Copper. And so we went back down to the 2A. And then we won, and then we lost in basically the final 8 of the 2A conference. And the team that beat us actually went to the state championship game. And so they were the state championship runner-ups. And so we had played them earlier. So the season...
And who was that?
That was Fountain Hills.
Fountain Hills, yeah.
And we had played them earlier in the year, is in December. And you kind of think back, both teams were very different by the time we got to March.
From December to March.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's funny, we were such a different team from then until now, and they were as well. And so it was a good season. I would say us as a coaching staff, we learned a lot about the 2A conference. And I think it's kind of I think of it oftentimes as kind of you kind of got to go through some rough patches in order to
it's growing pains.
Yeah, growing pains, exactly.
Yeah.
There's some growing pains that we as the coaching staff and as our players had to go through this year in order to kind of continue to grow and get to where we want to get to. Because I definitely I feel like as a program, we definitely talent isn't an issue in terms of we have enough good players and there's some programs that you just, no matter what X's and O's you do, no matter what culture you have, there's just a talent gap. And I do think that that's not necessarily our issue in terms of not having enough talent. It's just kind of finding the right formula for us as a program that works and going out and executing it. So, but overall, it was a lot of fun this year. A lot of I would say growth, a lot of growing pains. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what we take from this year and kind of move forward and kind of get better and see how we continue to grow. I will be back next year with the program and continue to grow. So
yeah. And I didn't get to go to as many games as I had in past years, mostly because on weeknights. I mean, not that all your games are weeknights, but the majority of them are. Our daughter Winnie needs to go to bed and sleep, but the games that I was able to go to, Winnie was my sidekick.
Yeah.
So you had two little people cheering in the stands instead of just one, and I actually was so impressed with how well Winnie did. She, I would try to sit her very close so that she could see, as opposed to seeing just the back of people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
And she was not deterred by the noise. She was not scared. She was very interested and engaged. I mean, I had little toys for her.
Yeah.
So sometimes she'd be interested in the toys, sometimes she'd be interested in the games, but because babies, their attention span is just very marginal. But I was really impressed with how much she did actually pay attention to the games, and even when she wasn't paying attention to the games, she was having a good time. She wasn't upset to be in a new environment, and I think she learned over time to, kind of be like, oh, I'm in a new place. I'm going to hang out with Mom. I'm going to look around and see what I can see. And it was just fun to watch her interact with her environment and adapt to being in a new place. And we were able to go to the game at the Phoenix Mercury. Is it Suns and Mercury?
Yeah, so the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury both
play there. So that at that arena, that was fun. We went to a couple home games at NBCA. We went to one away game.
Yes. Arizona Lutheran.
Yeah, because it was on a weekend. And that was the one where we accidentally stayed for the JV and the varsity.
Oh yeah, so you got there
I misunderstood the time.
Yes.
And anyway, so we were there that day. We were there for a long time. We stayed for the whole afternoon.
Oh yeah, because the JV, they played the game before us, and so they I think they started at 2:30 or something, or it may have been 3:30 in the afternoon, and then you guys got there. I was like, why are you here so early? It's I'm here for your game. I was like, we don't play for another hour.
2 hours, yeah. But I mean, she got to hang out with you for that part, and then we had a great time. So anyway, she's seen a lot of basketball in her short life, and she seems to really like it. So it's just fun. We enjoyed cheering you on and being involved. And Coach Walker and Lisa Walker were always really kind, and they would often for the home games have meals and stuff, and extend the invitation for us to be included with that, which was really kind. I appreciated that. And some of the team events that they had at their house, Winnie and I also came to. So it just seems like a really great program for me to watch from the outside, and I enjoy getting to support you guys in whatever way that we can, and to include Winnie in that has been really fun. So it's been good. And Winnie has these really adorable little Nike basketball shoes. Well, they're not basketball shoes. They're just athletic shoes, but they're the little Nikes, and they're blue, kind of NBCA color, kind of, and not quite the right blue, but close.
They work.
They work, and they're adorable. And every time we go to a basketball game, we make sure to wear them, and everybody has comments. But when in Rome, I mean, you gotta fit the part. So anyway, she is just adorable and a wonderful little additional spectator.
Yeah. So that kind of is our basketball season update. It was a good season. Not quite the end result that we wanted, but I think that's kind of what you expect when you kind of move up to a higher level, and you can have a really good season and not win the championship.
Correct. Winning the championship does not negate having a great season. And I do think that there is something to be said for kind of the mindset of the players. I'm not trying to say that past teams didn't work hard. I know that they did, or that past teams weren't disciplined. I know that they were. But I do think that there is a slight difference when you have that safety net of having more of a talent gap compared to your competition than when you don't. It's just a different sense of urgency, a different sense of how you come back from trying to make a play. Maybe it went well, maybe it didn't, etc. And I think that adjustment is tough. The freshmen on the team now, when they move up to seniors, right, they will have known nothing else.
Yes.
And so I think that at that point, I mean, it will probably happen even sooner, but I think at that point it'll definitely be a different just team atmosphere and a different kind of perspective in their minds, and everybody will be more acclimated to the new conference.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was a good year.
Good.
And so now we will kind of move into life updates.
Yeah. But I think basketball kind of made sense because that was, I mean, it goes from November all the way through the end of February.
Yeah,
it's a long period of time, and you've got games and practice almost every
much every day.
Night, during the week, the school week. So it's a substantial time commitment, and you often had practice on weekends too.
Yeah, we would have Saturday morning practice. Yeah.
So Winnie and I kind of got in our little groove of like just us in the evenings. Of course, we missed you, but I was also proud of myself that we made that transition as smoothly as we did, and that, you know, while I'll always accept help from you being around, I was proud of myself too of new mom, a working mom, and still being able to figure it out and fulfill both obligations, and not being on my very last little shred of sanity. So I think that I was a little, I wouldn't say concerned, but I knew it was going to be an adjustment and a challenge for me personally. So I know that's very different than going and actually coaching, but I do feel like that was something that I was personally proud of myself.
Yeah. How did it go?
I think in general it went pretty good. There was, I mean, some days were easier than others, some days were harder than others, but overall, it's not like I'm having to down 10 cups of coffee to like make it through the day, right? So I think that's, I mean, a big testament to Winnie. She just happens to be a relatively easy baby on the scale of babies, from what I hear and from my experience. So I can't really take any credit for that. I think that's just how she came. But I do think that there's something to be said for setting my own internal expectations of what I can achieve, maybe what I can't achieve, setting my expectations and setting myself up for success by trying to do things in a way that will, optimize the available resources that I do have. And when things are hard, just taking a deep breath and, reminding myself this isn't forever. And, even some of those hard times I will look back on shortly and be like, man, it was really nice when I would cuddle with my baby and she would sleep on me, whereas in the moment I'm like, oh my God, my baby will not go to sleep. I have so much to do. But, just a short while later, and then I'm missing those moments. So I'm trying to remind myself when I'm in the moment of taking the time to appreciate appreciate the moment for being what it is. And just trying to take joy in that, because she grows and changes so fast, which I guess we can talk about in the life update, but I didn't want to get too ahead of ourselves.
We're in the life update.
So I guess we'll start with Winnie since we're already on that topic. But life update for Winnie, she's walking around. She's just barely taking a couple steps here and there, but even at daycare, they're like, please send her in shoes. She's walking all over the place. So it's not that she's only walking. She still is primarily crawling, I would say.
Yeah.
But she can take, 2 to 5 steps when she's really motivated to do so, without holding on to anything. So we're getting ourselves mentally prepared for that.
Yeah.
But it's just been, I've been so impressed, and I think most babies are this way, right? Human beings are wired to learn to walk.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of falls in that process. But she's a little splat fest. She's just splatting all over the place. And she just usually has a big smile on her face, and she's gung-ho to keep trying, and even when she does get a little upset, she gets over it quickly, and it's been really fun to watch her navigate that and explore things and explore moving her body and discover new skills, and how excited she gets when she finds that she can reach something new or do something new. It's been really awesome. So
yeah, I would say really nobody's probably more excited than you are for to do new things, and she definitely is kind of growing and learning. And like, I think that for me personally, I think daycare, like her being at daycare and seeing other kids doing things, I feel she's observant. Yeah, she's very observant, and she can see things and then kind of like try and do them, or like I feel like from what I've seen so far, I think that's how she kind of picks things up.
And I think that she'll often be doing things that'll be like, where did you learn that or see that? And it must have been at daycare, right? But I do think she gets inspired by some of the other kids and what they're able to do. And it's just fun to come home and see what new things she's
learning today.
Yeah, what she's learned today. So, but yeah, she's doing great.
Yeah. And so, how's work going?
Work's great. Work is work. I wouldn't say any major life updates for me in terms of work, other than things are continuing to be awesome. I really love the people that I work with. The group of people is fantastic. I really enjoy my job. And so, there's always changes. There's always new challenges. There's always, different things here and there. But I feel like I'm settling into a good groove at work. But in past years, we might have said like, oh, there was a promotion, or oh, there was a big. That's what I mean by work is work. There's no change like that for me. But I think that's honestly sometimes no news is good news, right? To feel like I'm consistently in a good groove and feeling good about things is also something that I'm really grateful for. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, work for me is going really good. We had some, still doing third grade right now, but there is a little bit of an update. So after this year, I will be moving over to North Valley Christian Academy, and I will be an assistant principal for student affairs. And so I will be high school and middle school assistant principal.
Yeah,
so I'm very excited about this. It's a great opportunity. It kind of really fits with what I've done before in terms of some of my background with student athlete development and organizing community service and things like that. And so I'm really excited to kind of hit the ground running this summer. I start in July, and so it's a great opportunity as I kind of think back to when we moved here and I kind of got into like high school and elementary education and coaching. I enjoy teaching, but I don't know if I always saw myself always as being a teacher. I've always kind of like thought about like, hey, like being an athletic director or assistant principal or some type of administrator would be kind of a role that like
you
aspire to be in. And so I definitely like, this is something that I've wanted, and something that like I always saw myself as doing eventually. And so it's nice to kind of get this opportunity and kind of hit the ground running with like kids that I already know in terms of some of the athletic programs, but also working with the community and some of the people that are on staff there that I already know through the basketball team. And so it really is a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think back to like coming here to Arizona and working in like a charter school, and you kind of see different things and different aspects, and you work with different people. I think back to like when I worked at Archway Lincoln and working with Toyin, and like all the people that were the staff members there, like they had a major impact on me. And I remember Toyin saying, "Hey, like, would you ever be interested? Like, you should be looking to like becoming an administrator." And then I go to North Phoenix, and I talk with Jerry, and she's like, "Hey, like, right now we don't necessarily have anything, but like I'm here to support you." And so she put me through some different trainings that really like helped develop my growth. She allowed me to go and like observe teachers and kind of get a feel for what that would look like. And so I really am appreciative to all the efforts that those two headmasters like and the time they put into me to help me get here and kind of set me on the motion to get to the position I am. So it's a fun opportunity for me. I don't think like all of the staff at NVCA or at North Phoenix, they know for the most part, all the important people. Nobody that would like, oh no, like this changes like my day to day. But like it's an exciting time and exciting opportunity for us. For me.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I remember even when we moved here to Arizona and we were in the apartment talking about, you mentioning your goals to be an administrator one day, and I just really commend you for staying the course. And there have been other opportunities in the past that maybe weren't the perfect fit, didn't work out, but I think it's really great that this opportunity, which I think we both felt from the beginning seemed like a fantastic fit for many different reasons. And so I feel extra grateful that this one has, turned out as well as it has. And I think that the interview process was also really rigorous, and I commend you for, how you conducted yourself that whole interview. And I'm just really excited for you. I'm really proud of you. I think you've earned this. I think you're going to be fantastic in the role. I couldn't think of something better. When you showed me the job description, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a perfect fit for you. And I think that the kids love you. I think that's evidence every time we go to, Winnie and I go to NVCA, the kids love you, the staff there that I've seen interact. Obviously it's not the whole administration of the school, but it just seems like a really great community, a really great job fit, and a really, in terms of the tasks that you'll be doing, and a really great kind of fit for what your career goals are. Mm-hmm. So I feel like from any way that you slice it, it's just a wonderful opportunity. Yeah. And so I couldn't be prouder of you, and I couldn't be happier for you, baby.
Well, thanks. Well, I'm definitely excited about it, and it is a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running.
Yep, something new in July.
Yeah. So that was kind of like the only other life updates I have. It was like I went to South Carolina and went to celebrate my buddy Tyler's 40th birthday. And so that was great. We played a lot of golf.
You went to South Carolina. You went to North Carolina, but you stopped in South Carolina?
So I went to South Carolina, and then from South Carolina I went to North Carolina.
Yeah.
But the purpose of the trip was to go for my Tyler's 40th birthday. And so it was great to go out there and hang out with him. I saw my mom and some of my other family members there in South Carolina, and everybody seemed to be doing pretty well. And then went to a Duke basketball game, the ACC championship, or it wasn't the championship game, but it was the ACC tournament, and watched Duke play. And so it was kind of like just a nice little kind of trip to get to the East Coast a little bit and go up and visit Tyler. My other really great friend Rob was there, and so it was great to see everyone, saw Tyler's kids and hung out with them, and they're just a trip And so it was good to like see everybody and kind of just be with your friends. I miss you and Winnie, but it was good to.
Yeah, but I mean, these are friends. You've been friends with Tyler and Rob for what, 2 decades now?
Yeah,
like these are lifelong friends, and
we were all at Duke. Rob and I enrolled at Duke University in the fall of 2024.
Oh my gosh!
Or 2004.
Yeah, 2004. Yeah,
the fall of 2004, and it's about to be the fall of 2025. And so,
yeah. So I mean, and also for a long time, you know, you and Tyler still lived really near each other.
Yes.
Right? So now that you're across the country, I mean, Rob kind of moved away out of North Carolina earlier than you did, but still, I think there's a lot to be said for your core group of friends that you've spent so much time with and invested so much into these relationships. And then living more apart, I think you do a great job of being in touch with your friends still and, you know, maintaining those relationships, but there's something to be said for that in-person time and experience.
Yes.
And in particular, I think there's a lot of reasons why this trip in particular was well-timed. And I'm really glad you're able to go spend that time and be with your buds. You know, life is short. You gotta spend time with the people you love while you can. So.
That is very true. And it's funny, no matter how much things change, there are some things that are still the same. Yeah. And it was great hanging out with them, and also seeing my family. It was just a well-timed trip.
Okay. So yeah, that's what we've been doing.
All right. Deuces.